Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, if you've been paying any attention to the news, scrolling through your social feeds, or even just chatting at the office water cooler, you already know there's one massive topic absolutely dominating our collective consciousness right now. Yep, we're talking about the future of our work in the age of artificial intelligence. So today, we're unpacking a really fascinating, somewhat futuristic report titled The Algorithmic Evolution of Human Labor 2035. Let's just dive right in, shall we? We're going to break down exactly what this report tells us about the next decade of our professional lives. And don't worry, we're focusing directly on what the actual data and projections are saying here, rather than those sci-fi movie plots we've all been binge-watching. Section 1. The Big AI Question. All right, let's just address the elephant in the room right off the bat. There is a palpable sense of shared anxiety out there right now, isn't there? Everyday workers, from entry-level employees all the way up to seasoned executives, are looking at these rapid advancements in AI and feeling some very real uncertainty about their livelihoods. Like, are we all going to be replaced? Is human labor literally becoming obsolete? Well, the report frames this visceral fear perfectly, asking this exact gut-punching question. What will AI do to human jobs by 2035? I really want you to sit with that for a second. Think about your own job and the tasks you perform every single morning. Because we aren't talking about some distant sci-fi century, we're talking about 2035. That is literally just around the corner. So what exactly is going to happen to your daily routine? Section 2. Defining Algorithmic Evolution. Okay, to dismantle some of those doomsday fears, we really have to look at the exact terminology this report uses. Notice the word evolution. It's defined as the trajectory of how human labor and tasks shift alongside artificial intelligence leading up to 2035. The absolute key takeaway here is that this is an evolution, okay? It is not an overnight execution of human jobs. Think about it like when spreadsheet software was first invented. Accountants didn't just disappear into thin air. Their daily tasks simply shifted away from manually drawing out ledgers. We're looking at a very similar structural shift in how our labor is categorized. A lot of the time, the fear is that robots are literally going to walk in and take over the desk overnight, leaving us with nothing to do. But the source frames this as a trajectory, a process where human labor exists alongside AI, constantly shifting and adapting. It's really about changing the nature of our tasks, not erasing our presence in the workforce. Section 3. Human labor in 2035. So, knowing that this is an ongoing evolution, what does that actual end state look like for you? Well, today, human labor handles a massive spectrum of tasks, right? Everything from high-level creative problem-solving all the way down to that sort of mind-numbing data entry and repetitive admin work. But by 2035, the vast majority of that routine, repetitive stuff, it successfully shifts over to algorithmic labor. Honestly, the tension you might be feeling today about losing your job is really just the friction of this specific task migration. The 2035 reality isn't some human-free workplace. It's actually a workplace where the AI handles the spreadsheets, it parses those massive data sets, and it generates the baseline reports. Why? So you can step up and handle the high-level strategy and the really complex problem-solving. Now, the most reassuring piece of this entire report is the path to actually get there. We're starting at the present day. We are currently entering the phase of algorithmic integration. And yeah, this is the messy, somewhat frustrating part where we're all just kind of figuring out how to prompt these tools and fit them into our workflows. But that seamlessly moves right into the labor evolution phase, where job descriptions actively change to accommodate all these new efficiencies. And finally, we reach that 2035 end state. The crucial thing to remember here is that this is a step-by-step, gradual journey. The sky isn't falling today, guys. You actually have a full decade to adopt, to upskill, and to reposition yourself as we move along this very clear timeline. Section 4. Preparing for the future. Which brings us to arguably the most important part of this explainer, you. I want you to think about the job you do right now. Based on that evolutionary timeline we just talked about, what does this shift mean for you personally? Well, adaptation is the solution to the disruption. It's a simple, bold, and honestly incredibly empowering idea. Look, if you view 2035 as this giant tidal wave coming to just wash away your career, you're going to drown in anxiety. But disruption, it's really just a change in the rules of the game. If you learn to surf that wave by playing by the new rules of algorithmic integration, you don't just survive the disruption, you actually leverage it to become more valuable than ever before. So how exactly do you grab a surfboard? Well, here is your exact survival guide based on the report's evolutionary arc. First, understand the shift. And hey, that is exactly what you're doing right now just by engaging with this explainer. Second, navigate algorithmic integration. Start actively using AI tools in your current role today, rather than avoiding them. Be the person in the office who actually figures out the new workflow. And third, double down on uniquely human labor. By 2035, the absolute premium skills in the market aren't going to be basic data processing or routine coding. They're going to be deep empathy, complex human negotiation, abstract creativity, and ethical judgment. Those human-centric tasks aren't just going to survive. They are going to thrive and command a higher premium than ever before. And that completely flips the promise we started with, doesn't it? We began by asking what AI was going to do to human jobs. But now that we understand this algorithmic evolution, the integration timeline, and the sheer power of adaptation, the real question, the one you really need to ask yourself today, is this: what will you do with AI by 2035? The future of your labor isn't just something that's happening to you. It's something you get to actively shape. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep adapting, and I'll catch you next time.